I mean, man, Victoria Bass was a moment, and then that subtly, because of the Peaky Blinders link, then gave us our idea to come to our first birthday
last November,
which was a Peaky Blinders theme. Now, personally, that's my favourite event.
Really?
Yeah, first church one. That's my favourite event because
I see why. Because, like, for me, a year down the line, and it would be event number 4, wouldn't it? Birthday.
It's my life number as well. And little things to know about me.
I think with it being a year down the line, and then like when we were setting up at church and seeing like the ring get erected and just seeing it all come together, I was like, oh, this, like that nerve setting again. And then the crowd that we had at that event was like, it was like Corn Exchange times 10.
It was the balmiest.
It was I think because of how it was set up with the VIPs on the left, and then like the tables around, and then the standing section, it just sort of like, and the balcony above, it just sort of brought a real, like, everyone's on top of each other, but in a really, not in like an aggressive way, in an intimate way.
I tell you what it gave to me, it had that, it had the setting of the town hall, but in a more condensed way.
It was very similar layout.
Yeah, and for me, like, you know, we what still baffles my head, but I love it, and I get it, but obviously being this side of the fence in the sense of putting on an event, it's like people still wanting to know about that event because every event's unique, every event's different, there's always bouts that may stand out to people, but at that point, we'd gone a year, do you know what I mean? Like, we'd gone a year, but we'd gone a year in a point where, you know, we'd learned a lot, as we were saying at the Victoria Baths one, and it felt like our first birthday. It was like big boy pants, and it was like, do you know what I mean? It was like, we've got the production, we know what we're doing now, this is kick-ass, let's get involved. And like, for that, I remember being in the ring at that event, because you had the stage behind, the ring just in front, and I just remember as I was speaking on the mic, and you had Ed's like Keach and that up at the top, like bellowing down, and you're just looking out, and it was just rammed, and it would just like, that was the moment where it was like, we've made it in my head.
But it made flip it on the other side, like being in with the crowd and on the tables, that again, that backdrop of that big circular lighting making that big stained glass window.
Yeah, the stained glass
window. And having the big IBE logo on the screen behind, like, next level.
Shout out Bearer.
Yeah, massive shout out to Dave Beer, sorting that out for us.
Yeah, that was my favourite, man.
Do you think as well at that sort of stage, I think we've touched on like how we've got the production side sort of down at that point. But another thing that sort of got a lot easier and got a lot better in my respect was the matchmaking. It just became a lot easier for me to, because obviously I do that at the training, and it's always, I mean, one hindrance of the event is people who, after a certain amount of training, can't carry on for whatever reason. And I'd say especially with girls, matching up girls has always been difficult, was always difficult, and getting them involved in the first place. But I think now we've got more and more interest, and the matchmaking, I think the fights have got better.
Well, you talked to us about that because, for example, people who may want to take part in future ones, that might be quite nerve-wracking. You know, they might think that they're going to get matched up with somebody who's, I don't know, either physically in better shape or maybe better techniques. So how can you just rest people assured?
I think the other way we can sort of rest people's minds on that one is, I think we're lucky enough now to be in a position where we're on event number 7, and the interest has grown massively over the last 2 years. So yeah, people do come into training nervous about who they're getting matched with, but no one will ever be matched with somebody that is one of a complete different weight or size or height. There is some mismatches, or there has been some, but I think we've ironed them out simply because we've had so much more interest. So it's just easier to match people, really. And the fact that when we do our training sessions, we offer 10 weeks training, and we don't just get the people that are selected for that event. We always have reserves. Those people do drop out. It's just easier to fill gaps really. But yeah, like I think now we're in a position where like I'm really, really comfortable with matchmaking, and one, it goes on, like we say, size and weight, and most of all ability. I think we've been surprised in the past actually where I've looked at some and gone, this might be a bit of a mismatch, and I've had some guy who's 5'8" against some guy who's 6'1", and it's like, but the guy who's 5'8's won. Do you know what I mean? Not naming any names. But yeah, I do strongly believe that matchmaking has become a lot easier over the last 2 years.
I tell you to take it back. I don't know if it was because it was the theme Peaky Blinders, but you know, with the dressing on the tables, everybody sort of dressed a bit peaked up to the nines. For me, that event is the one that we've bottled and then looked to, like, for me anyway, use as the template.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Just to add to that, the team by that point that we had working for the event, obviously we've had certain people that have worked every event for us, but that was the one when we had obviously Foxy, Silver, Chris, Sophia, Craig on the filming, Keith on the cameras. Like that, by that stage we had that team nailed, and that bar team and that service team on the floor, which just added to that whole production of the event. I think that was the first one that we really nailed in terms of team. So massive shout out to those guys.
Yeah, 100%. It's mad to think that we've got a team.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, is like, from sat there in Normans to now not only having venues but a team. It's mad. It's mad to create something and then see where it's growing, and also having a sense of where it's going.